Welcome back once again to Stockton Heath Primary School for our fifth and final film covering the excavations that have been carried out here over the past couple of months. This week sees the closure of the dig with backfill ready for the development of the new school buildings. I've been invited today to talk to David Vaughan, archaeologist, to have a look at the Roman well that's been uncovered and many other exciting features. I'm here with David Vaughan, archaeologist on site. David, can you tell me a bit more about this wonderful well we've found?
Yeah, smashing Roman well that we excavated over the last week or so. As you can see, really well stone lined. We believe, got wells elsewhere on site, but this is the one with the structure. We know that the stonework goes down further, although we can't actually dig any further for safety reasons. We know that the well itself goes to a depth of about 5 to 6 metres. We've done an auger or a core for environmental samples, and within that we've found evidence that the sand just keeps going down. Now that suggests the stonework will follow it to give it stability, and once it hits the natural, the more stiff boulder clay, then the stones obviously won't be necessary.
David, can you tell me something about the state of preservation of this well?
Yeah, as you can see, it's remarkable really. We're fairly confident that it's been robbed though, because we're now in the well cut. The original would have stood proud of the natural which surrounds us, so the stonework has been taken. The large pit around us quite possibly is what they call a robber cut, where a subsequent society has come and taken and reused the stones, possibly still Roman. But as you can perhaps see from some of the flat stones on the top here, they're quite broken, they're not of an equal height, so there has been some robbing. Having said that, it seems to survive to quite a depth, and certainly as far as we've dug, the stonework continues down into the ground.
Right, now I believe you mentioned earlier some coring, some sampling. Can you tell me how deep that went?
Yeah, we cored to around about 5 metres below where I'm currently standing, so about 6 metres in total depth of the well. Yeah. And that's allowed us to do a number of things. We were able to look at the stratigraphy, or if you like, the makeup of the fill, and that told us that it's still mostly sand all the way down to the natural. It also gave us the opportunity to find the depth of the natural. Again, it was largely sand, but some boulder clay. And by supposition, the stonework probably supports the depth of sand to give it stability. The other main benefit is for environmental research. One of my colleagues will be studying some of the pollen that she may be able to extract from the fill core that we took, and I'll be looking at some of the beetle evidence which we also recovered, which will also give us an indication of the environment at the time the well was in use.
Okay, now obviously you haven't excavated much deeper. Is that for safety reasons?
Absolutely. I mean, where I'm stood now is fairly robust, but it wouldn't take much with a spade or a shovel to potentially cause a collapse, not necessarily of the structure but certainly of the fill, and it's simply just too dangerous to dig on. Right.
So what are the plans for this feature now, do we know?
The jury's out on that one. As part of discussions going on around us, a nice idea of course would be to have it on display. That may not be logistically possible. Obviously I don't know what the plans are in terms of the building layout, etc., or indeed the engineering possibilities, but it's certainly under discussion.
Dave, that looks a very exciting find. Can you tell me more about it?
It is, it's lovely. It's quite an unusual shaped pot, as you can see. It's locally made from the fabric, and it came from one of our deeper features on site. Probably another well, not stone lined, but certainly deep enough and wet enough to have been a well, and we went down to the bottom with that one and located this.
So the wet conditions would obviously help with preservation? It
would. With pottery it's not so essential. It's really when you're talking about organic materials like wood and leather that the wet becomes superior conditions. Having said that, it wouldn't have done it any harm. As you can see, it's survived very well, and we've kept the soil or sand in it really to keep it together until it's cleaned up and analysed properly.
And was it found in the ground in more or less one piece, although cracked, or was it scattered?
Exactly like this really. I didn't actually find it, can't take the credit for that, but I think this piece comes away, but it's actually located together and is so obviously part of the same vessel. Sadly, nothing else from it was there either,
but nonetheless a great find.
Absolutely, yeah. Hi, well James, this is the latest feature we've excavated. As you can perhaps pick out, it's a bit ephemeral, but we've got the remains of some sort of structure, almost certainly timber, and the narrow slots are the timber slots for that, and we've also got some post holes which, as we're cleaning up, we're exposing and investigating. It mirrors the one that we found on that side of the site in terms of its overall basic presence. However, the interesting thing is just over here to my right, which are these ditches. We've got a series of cuts here where the ditch, or a channel, seems to be running from that direction in the south all the way to here and then turns towards the east, which suggests something intriguing. But not only that, we've then got later cuts, also Roman from the contents that we found in its fill, but they're cutting into these earlier channels, so there's a lot of activity. And then finally on this point there's another ditch, two ditches in fact, coming through crossways with more post holes and trenches, so there's obviously a lot of activity here, and we're currently investigating what the structure might represent.
I hope over the past 5 films I've given you an insight into the work being carried out here and given the site the exposure that it richly deserves. Archaeology is important and it's enjoyed by many people, both the public and those who are experts. Stockton Heath is a very important area and full of evidence of Roman occupation. It has been both a pleasure and a privilege to be able to report on these excavations over the past couple of months. Is this the end of the story? Certainly not. I've been invited back in a short while to make a film about all the artefacts that were recovered here at the site once they've been cleaned and conserved. That's something really, really special and something worth looking forward to. This is James Balme for Warrington.tv, Stockton Heath Primary School.